Welcome back to Chickens. So, it is a new year. It is now 2025. I am filming this on January 2nd. So yeah, it's a new year. And side note, it feels like since 2022, the New Year's have been seem like science fiction years. Like it feels like we should all be driving flying cars and robots should walk among us and like all those things. So yeah. So new year is like new reading. What are you talking about? And I have a good feeling about this year in terms of reading. Like the books that I have coming up, like I think no, I wasn't sure of like the years when I was like making my whole TBR, but I think for like the last year it was mostly just like um books that I remember kind of look similar to what I liked in high school and like popular books that like sounded interesting to me and like stuff like that. But this year it seems like I was making my TBR. I was really thinking of what I really liked in books. So I think this is gonna be a good year. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about my commitments for 2025 and also my most anticipated reads. So let's get into my commitments for this year, first of all. So, the amount of books. So, on my TBR, I counted them today, and it seems like they're not that different from the numbers. So, on my TBR, they're about 54 to 61 books, but in order to make room for some DNFs or some for not removing reading those books altogether, we're gonna aim for 50 books this year. And and probably won't talk about this until a lot later. I don't have this whole year to read all these 50 books. So what I plan to do to get to all of my TBR is I'm going to do the swapping screen time for reading for a week challenge every month for 6 months this year. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I I love doing my first challenge, and hopefully I'll be able to do them successfully this time. So yeah. And the last thing I commit to do is I'm gonna try to use Goodreads more. Last year, I was making videos about like all the books that I had read, and I was just using Goodreads as like saying that I read these books, and sometimes not even giving star ratings for that book. But because I'm so slow with getting videos out, I don't know if I'll be able to do a swapping screen time for a week video, and also a recent reads video um, every month. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that each month. So I'm going to try to use Goodreads more so that you can still see my thoughts on this book, even though I may not talk about them on YouTube. So that is it for the commitments for this year. And I guess one more that I guess I'll kind of mention that I don't know if I'm going to be able to put this in place or not, but I feel like with me putting down books last year, I kind of just was doing it whenever I was like bored with the book. Um, like yeah, whenever I was just bored, which like that was kind of subjective the way I was probably. So one thing I might do, although I'm not including this as a commitment, is to not put down or DNF a book without a valid reason. I mean, maybe you can say like, oh, if you're not enjoying a book, that is a valid reason. So I mean, maybe, but we'll see. So let's get into my most anticipated reads. So I realized through watching that when people talk about their most anticipated reads for such and such year, they're talking about books that are coming out that year, not necessarily books they plan on reading that year. So um, if that's what you're expecting, with this video, no, you're not gonna get it because, um, I mean, like when I was kind of looking through some of the books coming out this year, like they weren't that appealing to me. And even if they were, like I'm probably not going to get to them. There's so many books that I want to read that have come out in previous years. So I'm just going to read what I want to read. And I also have a strict plan to set to. So we're going to talk about books that I plan on reading this year that I am most looking forward to. So I'm going to be going in the order of when I plan on reading these books for this most anticipated read. So the first book that I am most looking forward to reading this year is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. So, yes, this book has been around for a while. Well, maybe not a while, like it's like anyways, doesn't matter. And of course, there is the Netflix movie based on this book. So, the reason why I'm looking forward to this book, so you know how on Goodreads, you have this thing where like you click on a book, and then you can scroll down, and there's like the books that like these says, oh, people who love this book also love these books. So I did that for um one of my favorite books of all time, being Wonder by R.J. Palacio, and I looked through the books under there, and a lot of those I have read and have liked, or I guess loved. And this book, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, was also in that list of like, oh, people who loved Wonder also loved To All the Boys I Loved Before. So actually, if I don't love this book, I will be very mad at Goodreads. Just kidding. I'm not. So, what this so from my understanding, this book is about a girl who, whenever she has a very intense crush on a boy, she writes a letter to him, never intending to send it or for anyone else to see it, for that matter. But then one day her sister finds these letters and then mails them to all these boys. And so she kind of freaks out, and then her and I think it's one of the boys that she ends up writing a letter to, although I'm not 100% sure. So she and this boy start like fake dating in order to like get back at the sister, and then guess I'm guessing I know what happens from there. So yeah, sounds pretty fun. I don't think I've read a book with the fake dating trope before, but apparently it's a popular trope, so I guess we'll see. So, next up, I'm not going to be talking about a particular book, but I'm going to be talking in general about one thing I'm looking forward to is a series I have coming up where basically I won't say the title of the series, but basically what it is. The purpose of the series is me reading books that have been turned into movies. So yeah, that's the series, and I don't really want to talk about any of those books because I want to kind of leave it as a surprise until that series. But if you want to guess what any of these books that I'll be reading by, I'll give this hint that three of the books that I'll be reading in this series have been made into Oscar nominated movies. So it'd be interesting to see what people think that is. So, next book that I am my tone sounds really sad there. The next book that I'm most looking forward to for this year is Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney. So, when I was first kind of compiling this list and trying to think of like all the books that I'm most anticipating for this year, this was not included at first, and I think that's because um, the story didn't sound that interesting. So yeah, it didn't sound that interesting to me at first, but then I'm not really sure why I started looking forward to reading this book. And also, I have read one other Alice Feeney book, that being Good Bad Girl, and I remember, and well, I don't remember, it was included in my top 5 in my last video. So, so hopefully her writing is just as good as this book as it was in Good Bad Girl, and I think it will be. So, looking forward to that. We're going to talk about the next 2 books kind of together because I know there's not that much reason to mostly anticipate these books. I don't even really know what either of these books are about, but I think they both won Christie Awards, so I mean that has to count for something, right? And I was hoping to have a physical copy of one of these books by now, because like that hasn't happened. So um, the next 2 books that I am most looking forward to are All That Really Matters by Nicole Deese and Where the Blue Sky Begins by Katie Pounder. So again, I don't know what either of these books are about, but I believe these both won Christie Awards. And then I was also in place of versus mostly anticipating actually the second book in the like the sequel to All That Really Matters, which is called All That It Takes. So yeah. So I hope those will be good, but I guess we'll see. Look, I don't know if I'm most looking forward to it, but this is on the list because I just want to know what the heck is up with this book. That book is The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. So this is the 3rd book in the Chronicles of Narnia series. And this is probably one where I have no idea what this book is even about. And I mean, I haven't really seen this talked about. I mean, maybe I'm not in the right spaces to see this book talks about. I'm not really any Narnia spaces or anything, but yeah, but I plan on reading the Chronicles of Narnia series this time. I think I've read Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I know I've started the some of the other books, but this one I have not touched. So I'm we'll see. I'm curious. So, this last book I am most looking forward to for this year. So mentioned earlier, I mentioned in my last video that after reading Good Bad Girl, I am now sold on the thriller genre. But while there were some other thrillers on my TBR for this year, at first, until I decided to include Rock, Paper, Scissors, I wasn't really looking forward to any of these books. But one of those books I was looking forward to is Only If You're Lucky by Stacy Willingham. So I think I found this book under, again, the Goodreads thing. So under Good Bad Girl, I found this under there, as well as Darling Girls. And as you know, I read Darling Girls last year, and I did like it. So hopefully that means I'll like this one too. So I'm not really sure. I don't know if I can explain what this book is about. So I'm just gonna read the back of this book. Lucy Sharp is larger than life, magnetic and addictive, bold and dangerous, especially for Margot, who meets Lucy at the end of their freshman year at a liberal arts college in South Carolina. Margot is the shy one, the careful one, always the sidekick and never the center of attention. But when Lucy singles her out at the end of the year, a year Margot spent studying and playing it safe, and asks her to room together, something in Margot can't say no, something daring or starved, or maybe even envious. And so Margot finds herself living in an off campus house with 3 other girls: Lucy, the ringleader, Sloane, the sarcastic one, and Nicole, the nice one. The 3 of them opposites, but also deeply intertwined. It's a year that finds Margot finally coming out of the shell she's been in since the end of high school, when her best friend Eliza died 3 years after graduation. Margot and Lucy have become the closest of friends, but by the middle of their sophomore year, one of the fraternity boys from the house next door has been brutally murdered, and Lucy is missing without a trace. So yeah, I guess the thriller mystery part is about so this boy is murdered and then Lucy's just gone. So yeah, I think one thing aspect that I kind of got from the that synopsis that I guess I'm looking forward to. It seems that this book is going to be more focusing on female friendships. So, should be fun. So that is all for this video. Again, I'm looking forward to this year, and I hope you guys, if any of you want to talk about um, your reading goals for this year or most anticipated reads, please drop them in the comments below, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye.